Before we begin, take 1 second. Stories like this don't come around often, the kind that start quietly and end up changing everything. So subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay with me until the end, because this isn't just a story. It's a moment in someone's life that should have meant nothing, but became the exact second everything shifted. Some moments in life feel small while they're happening. Ordinary, routine, almost forgettable. And then one day you look back and realize, that was the beginning. The first crack in the glass. The first step down a road you never meant to walk. Anthony was 61 years old. A gentle man with a careful heart. The kind of man who carried responsibility like it was part of his skin. He never forgot birthdays. Never raised his voice. Never let the people he loved feel unsupported. When he asked his nephew Eric to stay with us for a while, I didn't hesitate. But I also didn't understand what that decision would awaken. I can still see Anthony standing by the door that afternoon. Car keys in hand. Worry lines faint on his forehead. "Daisy," he had said softly. "Eric is sensitive. He doesn't sleep well. His mind runs too fast at night. Take care of him, okay? He just needs time to steady himself before university starts." I smiled and nodded. Of course I would. How could I have known that the same week we'd finally get a call about the house we'd been waiting for? Anthony would leave for 3 days to inspect it, and I would be alone in the house with Eric. 3 days. Such a small number. Such a dangerous amount of time. Eric was 20. Not a boy anymore. Not even close. Tall. Broad-shouldered. His posture had that quiet confidence that comes when youth starts tipping into adulthood. There was still softness in his expressions, but his presence filled space in a way that felt noticeable. Too noticeable. Anthony still saw him as a child, but I had begun noticing things I didn't want to notice. The warmth when he laughed. The way his voice had deepened. The strange flutter in my chest when he stood too close. I told myself it was harmless. Just affection. Just familiarity. Nothing more. But when Anthony drove away, and the sound of the car disappeared down the street, a strange stillness settled over the house. It felt different. Like the air itself was holding its breath. Eric stepped up beside me on the porch, adjusting the strap of his bag over his shoulder. When our eyes met, he gave me that same half-mischievous, half-gentle smile he'd always had. "Looks like it's just us now," he said. Simple words. But something in his tone had changed. And in that moment, a flicker of anticipation, and something dangerously close to excitement, stirred inside me. I ignored it. I had to. Because I had no idea that night would mark the first step into a memory I would never forget. And that's where our story truly begins. Stay with me. You won't see this coming. Morning light slipped through the kitchen windows in soft golden lines. I busied myself with breakfast, eggs, toast, fruit, coffee, simple things. Safe things. The kind of normal routine that keeps thoughts from wandering too far. But the house felt different without Anthony's steady presence. Quieter. More open. I heard footsteps on the stairs. Slow. Unhurried. Eric appeared in the doorway wearing a loose t-shirt, hair slightly messy from sleep. There was something disarming about how natural he looked. Unguarded, comfortable. "Good morning, Daisy," he said, voice still warm with sleep. He paused, inhaled. "Something smells amazing." Before I could answer, he stepped closer. Close enough that I could feel his warmth beside me. His hand brushed lightly against my waist. Not gripping, not claiming, just resting there for a second longer than necessary. A tiny electric second. "Smells delicious," he added, smiling. I told myself it was innocent. Accidental. Nothing. But my voice still trembled when I replied. "Just breakfast." "Sit, I'll serve." "I'll eat whatever you make," he said, eyes lingering on me in a way that made the kitchen feel smaller. When we sat across from each other, the table felt too narrow. Conversation started normally: sleep, plans, university, the house Anthony was viewing. But underneath his words, there was a new tone. Something bolder. More deliberate. Then he said it. "You know, you're really attractive." I froze. "For your age," he added gently, almost teasing. I laughed it off, heat rising to my cheeks. "Eric." "I mean it," he said, holding my gaze. "You're the most striking person around my uncle." I stood quickly. gathering plates just to have something to do. Because if I stayed still, I might have to feel what was happening. He leaned back in his chair, watching me with an intensity that made my heart race. Then he broke the silence. We should celebrate tonight. Celebrate what? The house. A new beginning. That deserves something special. It's not final yet, I said. All the more reason, he replied with a grin. Dress up. Let's make it memorable. We'll send pictures to Uncle and tell him we've already started celebrating. There was something playful in his words, but also something else. Expectation. And somehow, I heard myself agreeing. That evening, I cooked his favorite dishes. Maybe I shouldn't have put in so much effort, but part of me wanted the night to feel warm, lively, different from the quiet routine my life had become. Upstairs, I searched my closet and found a green dress I hadn't worn in years. It still fit too well. I stared at my reflection. Was I trying to look nice for a celebration? Or for him? When I came downstairs, Eric was already waiting in a white shirt. He looked grown. His eyes widened slightly when he saw me. That dress is incredible on you. Something shifted in the room. Dinner was warm, laughter easy, but every glance lingered a little too long. Every pause stretched a little deeper. This wasn't just dinner. This was a line slowly being approached. And neither of us was stepping back. As the night continued, the air grew heavier with unspoken things. Eric leaned closer when he spoke. His voice dropped lower, softer. Thank you for tonight, he said. But I think it could be even better. I didn't ask what he meant, because part of me already knew. He suggested calling Anthony, showing him the celebration. Before I could object, he stood behind me, hands resting lightly on my shoulders as the video call connected. His closeness sent a wave of awareness through me. Anthony laughed when he saw us. Happy, trusting. You two look like you're having fun, he said. I smiled for the camera, but inside something was unraveling. Because while Anthony spoke, I became painfully aware of how long it had been since anyone had looked at me the way Eric was looking now. Seen, noticed, desired. And that realization was the most dangerous moment of all. If you're still watching, you already feel it. This is not just a story about attraction. It's about loneliness, timing, the quiet spaces in relationships that no one talks about. Make sure you're subscribed, because what happens next changes everything. That night, long after the dishes were cleared, neither of us went to sleep. The house was silent, but the distance between us had disappeared. And I realized something terrifying. Sometimes the biggest turning points in life don't come from storms. They come from soft voices in quiet rooms, from a look held a second too long, from a feeling you never meant to feel. And once it starts, you can't pretend it never happened. 3 days, one house, one choice that can never be undone. If you think you know where this is going, you don't. Like the video, comment your thoughts, and stay tuned for the next part, because the real consequences haven't even begun yet.